Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Short Answer. I'm Dr. Sue Morter, a founder of Morter Institute for Bioenergetics, and it is a great pleasure to be here with you this evening for The Short Answer. Some of you are joining us for the first time, and I want to welcome you to a conversation that will truly change your life if you allow it to soak in. If you just allow yourself to become a part of a concept that's bigger than the physical body, bigger than the mind typically gets to think about, and yet we're going to drop it into practical application as often as we can for you to have an understanding about what quantum science is bringing to our understanding of spirituality. And what spirituality is doing to allow science to apply itself in a way that has deep heart and meaning for us. And so we're here in the world of blending these ideas together and creating some practical things for you to do to truly benefit from the majority of what life is truly all about all the time, to benefit from what we're reading about, what science is developing, and for you to be able to recognize in a moment's notice that you have power to change your life experience. You know, as science is reporting to us experimentation that shows that we have the opportunity to change our very DNA expression through the thoughts that we think and the emotions that we hold as valuable. And that, in turn, determines how we express in a healing fashion or not. It determines how we show up in relationship, thinking that we can evolve and circumstances can evolve versus just cutting it down to a line in the sand that says, there's nothing I can do about it, this is just who I am, or it's just who you are, and so this is the way it is, and we have to learn to live with that. Because science is showing us that when we think certain thoughts, certain aspects of our DNA molecule turn on or they turn off. When we hold beliefs, which are just thoughts that we've been thinking for a long enough time, that it becomes rote, and it becomes automated, and it becomes a reality that we assume is true, that begins to have this effect on the DNA structure on an ongoing basis. And so what ends up happening is we express in health and vitality, or we don't. And it comes down to energies that we are holding, energies that we are running through our bodies based upon the thoughts that we think. Pretty phenomenal when you come to think about that, right? So we also know that our DNA has an effect on the external world. Different scientific experiments, you create a vacuum where you create this concealed space and suck everything out of it. And what they're measuring are the tiniest light particles that are just kind of randomly dispersed. And if you place human DNA inside of that vacuum, it creates an arrangement of the photons in accordance with the vibrational frequency that the DNA is emitting. So that means that the external world, the things that our world is made of, are arranging in accordance to the energy that we are emitting. So let's put this all together. The thoughts that we think affect our DNA, and our DNA affects our environment. That's a pretty powerful chain of thoughts and perceptions and concepts to put together, because what it actually means is that we're creating our reality. We're creating our reality by the vibrational frequency that we emit. So the relevance of this in this moment in time, in our cultures around the world that are joining us on The Short Answer, is that we know that times are different than they were 20 years ago. Things are picking up speed, and we're having to process circumstances and information at rapid fire. We're having to come to a conclusion about what has meaning and value to us in an instant, rather than being able to think about it. Because if we sit back and think about it for a while, what ends up happening is 6 more things to process have occurred in the same amount of time that we used to be able to ponder things. So it is paramount that we begin to be able to, in a moment's notice, know what matters and be able to zero in on that and stabilize all the other options that are occurring in our lives. You know, culturally, we are in upheaval, oftentimes in many different countries around the world for various reasons. The contrast of the world of duality is up-leveled to the point that it can feel brash and intense. And so the invitation in our little short conversation this evening is for you to recognize where your true power is. Your true power is to settle down the mind. And I want to give you a little clue about how to do that. We have to settle down in order to settle down with ease and grace. And here's what I mean. The fact of who you are as creator is actually seated in the most subtle aspect of you. It's so subtle, it can be like that whim of a thought that just brushes through, like something you would love to imagine or see happen in our world. And it comes and goes before you even really land it as a real possibility. It kind of just slides through. It's very subtle. And so what we're doing, of course, with the energy codes is teaching you how to come into the ability to sense a more subtle realm, so that those fleeting thoughts that move through, those impressions or those inspirations that come to you, or the gut feelings that rise up to you, that they have a chance to really land and actually gain your attention. Because if they gain your attention long enough, they have an opportunity to include themselves in the reality that we're creating. If we hold the vibration of an inspiration, a dream, a desire, a vision that we would hold for ourselves or for the world, if we can hold that vision consistently enough, the vision has an opportunity to affect your DNA, and the DNA can affect your environment, and the next thing you know, you're walking around in a world that is starting to resonate at the frequency that you are allowing to be honored, a frequency that you're allowing to become valuable just because you have chosen to do so. So one of the things that I teach in the coursework that I teach of the energy codes is teaching people how to land those ideas, hold them as true, and breathe loving presence with them, honoring them to the degree that they're able to have this impact that I'm speaking about. So if we can settle down the mind, we begin to pick up on those intuitions. We begin to sense and feel what is truly trying to pass through us as brilliant solution to what the mind sees as a problem out here in our culture, out here in our world. You know, the world is changing rapidly. Things are picking up speed, and it's rather intense at times. It's hard to believe that going more subtle with your thinking could be a solution when it seems that things out there are becoming more harsh by the moment. But if you get subtle enough, you dial into a frequency that is the frequency upon which all physical reality is built. All of physical reality is built upon energy. And the more subtle the energy is that we can come into a masterful relationship with, the more we have mastery over our life experience, the more we have mastery over the happenings in our physical world. So if we look at, this picture here, I have this poster we're working with here in a course that I'm teaching today, and we're working with this idea that you, of course, have this physical body, and there is a subtle body that is around the physical body that is actually the rest of who you are. It vibrates at frequencies because of what you choose, because of what you think, because of what you allow yourself to feel, because of what you allow to be possible in your reality. And this picks up a vibration, and it emits that vibration, which influences the energy field overlapping the person standing next to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That goes on forever. So there's a linear way of even thinking about what is actually a quantum reality, that actually when you dial into this subtle frequency, you can overlap with the energy field of someone in Asia, and someone in Germany can interact and engage with, on a vibrational level, someone in South America. And all around the globe, we have the ability to create a network. If you would just envision, this whole energy field is also around groups. So there's a group consciousness energy field. There's a cultural consciousness energy field. There is a global humanities energy field that you can have an influence on just by what you're vibrating at this frequency here, based upon what you think, what you feel, based upon your willingness to be present with what is happening and be a stabilizing factor in the midst of all things possible that seem to be occurring in our culture every day. So When we want to make a difference in the world, when we want to make a difference in our own life experience, it's helpful to know the science, but it's also amazing to have the experience of remaining present with yourself. When things happen in the outer world that make you want to split off and disperse and get upset and get in the anger and carry a sign and go picketing with someone else, it's okay to do those things, but the invitation is this. If you're going to walk into a gathering, you have to walk in peace as the stabilizing presence for that gathering. Because as the energy flows through your system, it flows in a pattern like this. It flows down through you, down through the physical body, hits the earth, rolls back up, and recycles and recycles. And the more agitated or upset or feeling unheard or unjust circumstances are occurring, the more you're vibrating that frequency, the more you create a distortion, a wobble in this. And it has that impact on the energy field that I just showed you a few moments ago. So the whole idea is we have to learn how to flow the energy in a consistent, unwobbling, stabilizing fashion if we want to settle the energy fields around us. We do the settling by learning to settle down. Settling down the mind allows you to sense and feel how the energy is moving through your life. If there's a charge, you have to learn how to drop into your core and breathe some steadiness to that energy. That's what we teach in the energy codes, and I hope that you'll join us at some point, if you haven't already begun to engage in the coursework, so that you can learn how to masterfully steer this energy in a fashion that truly has an impact not only on your personal life experience, but on the lives of people around the globe, just because you've stepped in to the yes of being that stabilizing factor. To settle down, we have to bring our attention to what matters most, the smaller nuances of how love can grow, how love can spread and be shared one energy field to another. It's the most powerful vibrational frequency you can dial into, and as subtle as it is, it can move mountains. So, that's all I have to say in the short answer today, but we're getting ready to dive into a master class, and I want to invite you to join us. If you just click the button beneath you where you're watching this on the screen, you can join us for the master class, and we'll be plugging into some deep, rich conversation about some how-tos and applications of these very concepts. So blessings to you all. We'll see you next time. Namaste.